can you talk about, from a non-dual perspective, is this reality an illusion?
What is illusion? What is real? Because we are contrasting two things. Something is illusion, something is real. From the Advaita Vedanta perspective, since consciousness or Chaitanya is the foundation or the basis of everything projected on top of it. As soon as we say projection, it's not real. So if you have the screen and the pictures, motion picture projected on the screen, the pictures have nothing to do with the screen. The screen makes it possible for the pictures to appear. In the absolute non-dual state, we cannot even create a dichotomy between real and illusory. Because if there is nothing as illusory, there is only what is real. But if you say there is something illusory, then there is something real, and something else illusory, then there are two entities. So illusory by definition cannot exist on its own. But let's go back to what is the nature of the projected reality is. From the standpoint of the Advaita Vedanta, consciousness as such is the foundation. And in this foundation is metaphorically compared to the screen. And in this screen, you have these motion pictures, coming and appearing and going away, fading away. Coming and going of the metaphoric images makes no difference to the screen. Even the disturbing of the pictures, some horror pictures, do not make the screen horrific. Or some lovely motion picture doesn't make any difference to the screen as such.
When we go to watch a movie, a lot of times we feel excited when we're watching a tragedy movie or a scary movie. So that is compared to this life.
Exactly.
That we are the screen, pure consciousness.
Yes,
Okay.
So you yourself are that screen that is never contaminated by whatever the pictures are coming and going. So this is the non-dual model of consciousness from the Advaita perspective. From the Trika Shaiva or Kashmiri Shaivism perspective, consciousness is not a passive screen. That screen itself is also constituting the images. Not just that screen itself is constituting the observer, the subject. Both subject and object are co-constituted in that singular field we call Shiva. So what does this mean for the reality? What is real? What is illusory then? So you have to think of the world as a configuration of, let us say, conquering streams of energies. Like if you have like a convergence of different lines in one particular point, different energies coming to convergence, and then certain entities come into being. The word we use is dravya, substance, entity. What is dravya? Guna sandrava, coming together of the tropes of different qualities. So all these different energies come together and constitute an entity for the time being. When that passes through in the flow of time, then we have a different entity. What is this? A microphone, some plastics, some electronic devices, some wires, all these things co-constituted in the form of the microphone. So the world as such is constantly changing, and that is not something outside of consciousness. This is within the field of consciousness that these are being co-constituted. And from the Kashmiri Shaivite or Trika Shaiva perspective, the world as such is a manifold configuration within the field that we call consciousness. Subject and object are co-constituted within the singular field that is dynamic, that's pulsating, and that is spontaneous, that's free, autonomous. And so therefore, what is real? What is unreal? Real and unreal are likewise projected within that singular field. There is nothing in contrast of real to be unreal. Something is real for the time being, and as long as it is real, it's real, So I'll give you one example. I know I'm taking time for this first question.
No, it's good.
What happened? Yeah. I was taking a walk in Los Angeles Beach one fine morning, consoling my friend who was just recently divorced after his 2 decades of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And the question he asked struck me forever. The first question he asked, I knew them both very well. Do you think she ever loved me? Dude, what are you talking about? And the next question he asked, do you think I ever loved her? You see, this is like when you go to the bottom rock of your fragmentation, you start questioning every single thing that's happening in your life or that has ever happened in your life. You question your past. It feels like a dream. That 20 years of life is spent together feels like one single moment of a dream. But when that dream lasted, it was real. It was mutually felt. When you are dreaming, Amira, during the mode of a dream, it is real. Otherwise, why are you haunted by some horrific images? So, like Vasubandhu, one of the foremost Yogacara philosopher, gives an example of arousal. Why would these beautiful women give arousal in the dream? So that he's comparing dream reality with the waking reality. I'm flipping the coin. I'm saying he's trying to compare this world to the dream world and say both are unreal. I'm flipping the coin and I'm saying that even the dream world is real. Because even in dream, there are actual events happening. You can put wire, you can put a subject to the dream state and then make him go through fMRI, and then you can watch, you can observe the neuronic activities there. Real events are happening there,
Of course.
The subject is undergoing all the actions. Have you ever seen these puppies when they go to sleep and then they're wiggling their little paws? Oh my gosh, I've seen them. It's so beautiful. So they're running in their dream, but the body is still acting. They're still moving their paws, So yes, in the dream, we are still in the same bed, but a lot of activities are happening within. Our neurological activities are the same. Our cognitive functions are the same. And it's only our reality, the everyday, day-to-day reality is different. When we wake up, it is not real. So therefore, we have to rethink what do we mean by real. As far as my grasping of the event is concerned, I was happy when the dream was good. I was unhappy when something happened that was not conducive of my experience. I was scared. I was aroused, So everything that can happen in your conscious world, in this reality, the same thing can happen in your dream reality. But that doesn't mean that I'm agreeing with Gaudapada. I'm actually flipping the perspective. So the very basis is then what is real?
Right.
I'm just keeping the question alive. Okay.
No, it's important to actually understand the definition of real, right? Because I think Gaudapada basically when we're talking about non-duality, specifically Advaita Vedanta, they say that the definition of unreal is, I think, two main things. One, that it does not have its independent existence, right? So whatever is happening, I guess, within the dream or us speaking right now or whatever these actions are, without consciousness, they would not have their existence, right? And then the second thing is they are temporary. So there is no beginning or end of that action or that feeling, right? It's very impermanent.
Yeah.
So are those two, according to you, good definitions of something that is unreal?
Again, these two criteria do not help us to differentiate between the waking and the dreaming reality. Because both these criteria apply even to my waking reality. These are also transitory.
Right.
They may last a bit longer than the dream, but they are not permanent. Our waking reality is not permanent either. And so we need a different definition for reality. I would say efficiency, meaning causal efficiency. We call that in Sanskrit artha kriya karita, meaning they can produce effect. Something unreal should not be able to produce an effect. Your fantasy woman should not be able to bear a real child for you. Your fantasy money should not be able to buy you New Jersey. So something real can give rise to something real. Something unreal cannot give rise to something real. But if we go to that definition, let's see. Would this apply to dream? Why I'm saying even dream has certain degree of reality is because even dream is able to give rise to something real. That is my pain, that is my fear, that's my happiness. In that time, you can say it's not real because it's not everlasting. There is nothing everlasting.
Right.
Lasting in the sense of a duration in different modes of time. Everything in the world has a finite existence. Therefore, if we push hard to reality, then only the Brahman, and that's where Advaita Vedanta wants to take you, that only the Brahman, pure consciousness itself is real, and everything else is not real because it is not everlasting. So we share something real has to be lasting forever. So what I'm saying is something real should be able to unfold and enfold in all the new modifications. Why am I saying that? Because if consciousness is real, then it should be able to endure over time, meaning keep manifesting in whatever the forms it so desires and still exist. So if your gold is real, you should still have that gold as gold no matter what particular structure or shape you mold it into. You can make a ring, you can make a chain, you can make God knows whatever ornaments you so desire. But the gold as such continues to be in all the new modifications. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's cool.
So therefore, consciousness itself endures through different modifications, even if it manifests in the form of your dream. I don't know whether I'm dreaming you. I'm having this conversation with you in my dream. Hypothetically, I may be having this conversation in the dream. Even if that is the case, I'm not going to say, therefore, it is not real. I don't care whether it's a dream or reality. To me, seeing you right in front of me, to be able to have this conversation with me, we're having this intersubjective understanding. I think I'm understanding some of your questions.
Yes. Yeah.
So we are understanding each other's.
Right.
To me, that's real enough. But that doesn't mean that we are permanently made in this form. Reality unfolds in multitudes of forms. Reality doesn't need to be static like a rock. Reality is dynamic. Reality is self-enfolding and unfolding. Reality itself is able to manifest into the manifold without rejecting its singularity. What do I mean by that? Just like water, no matter what particular shape you make it into, like you pour into cup, or a big jug or whatever, the water takes the form of such and so structure. Water doesn't have its own rigid form.
Right, it's flexible.
It's flexible, but doesn't mean water is not real. Consciousness itself doesn't have its own particular shape or structure. It can unfold into whatever the form. Now I'm seeing you, my consciousness is structured in your form. I'm speaking these words, my consciousness is structured in the form of these words. And finally, I'm trying to
drink coffee.
This bitterness, this tannin, giving me this satisfaction. Why do I have to say this satisfaction is so unreal? I'm experiencing, my consciousness is taking the shape of this feeling bitterness, but bitterness can be very undesirable. But this is very desirable bitterness.
Right.
So consciousness takes all these forms. That consciousness does not have its own predetermined form. And that to me is real. The real is something that is capable of manifesting in endless forms without expunging itself. There is no limits to which you can give shape to water. Every new form, every new shape can come up.
So before I move on to my next question, I want to clarify something. What my understanding of Kashmiri Shaivism is, right? That I guess compared to the more still view of Brahman or consciousness in Advaita Vedanta, Kashmiri Shaivism views consciousness as spontaneous, as moving, as dynamic. But like you meant, it still falls under non-duality, correct?
Yeah,
because it is all one.
Yeah, it's all one.
It's not like there is that dynamic consciousness and then it's you drinking the coffee is different. It is all one.
It's
right?
all
Okay.
happening within that.